Welcome back. As South Africa enters level 4 lockdown, restaurants have been allowed to open for deliveries only. Restaurants have been closed across the country for level 5 with complaints of high leases, no income, waiters going hungry. Not all will be able to make profits on deliveries only though. To discuss, we're joined by the CEO of the Restaurants Association of South Africa, Wendy Alberts, via Skype. Thank you very much, Wendy. So what happened on day 1 of level 4?
Thank you so much. It was really, the Workers' Day today was greeted with great enthusiasm. It was very exciting to see our restaurants open. It's been a very long 5.5 weeks of lockdown, and it was absolutely phenomenal to watch restaurants open their doors again and get their gas burners going and get life back to their restaurants. The staff were absolutely enthusiastic to come back and start getting the economy going.
Many South Africans want to support their favourite restaurants or just get those takeaways. Just tell us who's opened and who's decided not to, because we know some like Nando's have decided to stay shut.
Lovely. So we have 3 divisions of restaurants that have currently decided to participate. Firstly, we've got the small independent restaurants. They've taken heed to open at this time in the industry. A lot of the larger restaurants have decided to stay closed based on the business model, and it's just too much of a financial risk. It was lovely to see a lot of Spurs that have opened today, and to see them also getting the economy going and getting employment back on track and taking responsibility and also forging the way forward. Today was an instrumental day in the future of South African restaurants, and what is the future going to hold for our industry? So these beautiful restaurants who are making beautiful food today have certainly been instrumental in changing and shaping the future of the South African restaurant.
Yeah.
So it was very, very exciting days for us. It was beautiful. We saw record turnovers. We've had some challenges, which we'll deal with over the next couple of days. But all in all, I think that our restaurants were relieved to be back in their businesses and relieved to have their staff back in employment.
What are those challenges, Wendy?
So the third-party deliveries, we need to work with them. We saw a lot of the third-party delivery guys not being able to put social distancing in place. We need to work with them with the protective gear and ensure that they understand what is expected of them. We can't have any compromise with the break in the food chain. So if our restaurants are really working hard and opening and it's very high risk, then we're doing minimal turnover and trying to pay the bills on really, really small amounts of turnover. And what we do know is we're going to see the next couple of days the trade will definitely drop off. So whilst today was really a great celebration and we saw record turnovers, it's not going to be sustainable for a very, very long time. So we really need the third-party guys to play the part, and we understand that there was great excitement today, but social distance is important. They need to play their role and responsibility in keeping COVID and also not compromising our restaurants in any which way by not delivering the highest health and safety standards to our customers.
All right, so these are the delivery companies that would come and pick up the food and take it to the customers?
Absolutely. You know, one of the key things I think that came out today is that we had a number of complaints with regards to the third-party deliveries. And I think one of the key things that we could engage with perhaps is to properly identify which is the third-party deliveries and to number the motorbike and number the driver, that we can actually be able to report any wrongdoings from these drivers or people that are not wearing masks or not doing the protective gear or not doing the proper sanitization and not following through on the protocol that's been prescribed. So I think that it's definitely further engagements need to take place and a further call also for our industry to be able to open for call and collect and drive-through. I think it's imminent that we look at the challenge that we face today and the number of limitations and shortfalls that were rested on the third-party deliveries. You know, we can't afford for it to compromise the restaurant sector. So we really need to look at an alternative way on how we're going to work smoothly in ensuring that there isn't a break in the food chain moving forward.
So are you saying that restaurants believe that opening driveways or drive-throughs rather will be a safe and effective way for people to get food in line with the regulations that can be done?
Absolutely. You know, we've got a document that we have proposed and presented to government. It clearly outlines a contactless collection service. It really does work for the consumer and the restaurateur. It has limited points of contact, and it's one point of contact as opposed to a number. And it's also an extension of your shopping basket. So we had a lot of feedback also from township restaurants that they felt prejudiced, that they didn't have delivery services and that they couldn't open because they weren't allowed collection. So we've got a number of challenges that's come through today that we need to work on, and we need to engage with the powers that be, and we need to promote and put our documents back into the forefront for consideration again. Yeah. But if we're going to rely solely on delivery, I think we're going to have an element of the consumer not always wanting to order.
In the meantime, I mean, those small restaurants are the ones that people worry about, want to give them business. Are many being forced to change, to go online? Could this sort of speed up that process, and that would be a good outcome, I guess?
Look, we through the last week prior to opening, we've had a lot of beautiful engagements with restaurateurs, and these independent restaurants, we call it, they really were quite eager to reopen the industry and get the economy going. And they've got some fantastic ideas, and they were looking at very innovative ways of maximizing the basket spend and getting the experience of the restaurant back into your home. So your anniversary dinners and your Friday night pizza, or your Sunday roast, and your warm bread and your patisseries and your butters and your croissants, etc. So they certainly have a whole variety of beautiful initiatives that they're going to put forward in the next couple of weeks, and that will roll out. And I think the next 3 weeks or so will really speak of where we go in the restaurant industry. And we see a lot of restaurants wanting to cook the essential foods for your home cooking and to make their restaurant an extension of the neighborhood, that you can certainly engage with the restaurateur to get as much product from that restaurant to be able to keep them alive and to support them as the locals.
Yeah. Wendy, the last time we spoke, you said that a lot of restaurants were just struggling, still having to pay high rents, waiters, some of them starving. And now we know, like Nando's, like some of the restaurant chains not opening still because deliveries aren't a huge part of their business. Are there many restaurants still teetering on a knife's edge, still hoping for the best, but not sure if they'll get through this period with just deliveries?
The financial model in the larger restaurants just doesn't make sense. I mean, it will be financial suicide if any of these restaurants even vaguely try and open. They've got huge leases and huge expenses and huge commitments and huge staff, and the businesses just simply cannot afford to open. We'll look at different types of remodeling of the smaller businesses as well over the next couple of weeks. But what we have seen over the last 5 weeks is a lot of challenges that our restaurant industry has faced. And the administrative processes that we've made applications for in terms of TERS and UIF and the loans, etc., haven't been favourable to our industry. Neither have the relief from the landlords. The landlords got a huge responsibility to play in getting the economy open and supporting the restaurant industry. We're a large employer, we're a large contribution to the economy, and we're a large player in the overall experience of the consumer. And we need people to start listening to us. We need government to really start listening to us and engage in conversations with our stakeholders, that they can actually hear it from the restaurants themselves on how drastic it is and how little relief there is. So the restaurants really that have taken heed to opening are desperate to open because they have no other resources. So they're just looking at accumulating more debt in order to be able to bring turnover in to support their staff, because there's certainly no relief for staff that are unemployed in our industry. If we look at waiters, there is no relief for waiters other than the small grant that's been given to them on a monthly basis. So there's a lot of unemployment that's currently taking place in our industry, and there's only a small collective amount of people that's come back to work in this period of level 4. I think our restaurants are probably running on about a 20-25% capacity of staff, and hoping for a 20% of turnover of their regular turnover in a market that's 100% competing for that 20%, which brings it probably down to about an 8 or 10% opportunity to bring in turnover and income to support that business.
All right, so still a very, very tough situation. That was the CEO of the Restaurant Association of South Africa, Wendy Alberts. But she's saying some excitement today and a lot of takeaways being ordered, although work to be done on social distancing on the deliveries. Now, tributes are pouring in following the passing of struggle star